like to have more creativity, make better decisions, and be more likely to keep your mojo? I'm Dr. John Izzo, and I'm in the business of conversations that make the difference. And the conversation I'd like to have with you today is about the value of wandering in life and in business. I'm thinking of this because I've committed to spending 4 full months this year at least doing that very thing, simply wandering. Now, the dictionary defines wandering as to move about without a definite destination or purpose. Now, I'm sure your first reaction is, sure, John, I'm going to go into my boss's office tomorrow morning and say, Dr. John Izzo told me that for the next 4 months I should wander around without a destination or purpose in mind. I'm sure your boss would have a great reaction. But then you might tell him about Joseph Campbell, the great mythologist, who wrote about wandering and the value of it in our lives and in our businesses. He said that wandering is the opposite of having a plan or an agenda. It is to talk about or to do at any moment whatever comes up, whatever seems important, whatever we feel like doing in that moment. Early in his career, Joseph Campbell did that very thing. He spent 4 years holed up in a cottage in Woodstock, New York. He had dropped out of university to spend 4 years wandering. And during those 4 years, he not only read hundreds of books, but he pretty much did whatever he felt like doing, whatever was calling to him, including connecting with some of the best writers and people of his generation, including John Steinbeck. One can't help but wonder that if Joseph Campbell had simply gone to university like everyone else, instead of being the world's leading mythologist, who knows what Joseph Campbell might have become. Now let me make a connection to how this might relate to business. Years ago, I worked with a senior team that once a month had what they called a blue sky meeting. In a way, they were wandering. The rule of the blue sky meeting was simple. Anything could come up in that meeting except for something that had to do with an immediate business problem they were facing. Any issue, any idea was fair game, as long as it wasn't just an immediate business problem. There was never an agenda ahead of time. Just for 2 hours, that senior team, once a month, would do nothing but think. I can't tell you how many great ideas they had never thought of came out of that wandering meeting. And it's not surprising because research shows that the average leader has about 60 to 70% less time to think and reflect than leaders did 30 years ago, which I think is ironic given that research shows that when we wander and get away from a problem, we're more creative, and also that the problems we face today in business are more complex than they used to be by far. Now let's connect the 3 dots. The average leader has 70% less time to wander than we did 30 years ago. The problems we face are more complex, and research shows we are more creative and innovative when we get away from a problem and away from the agenda. Now, one of my favorite CEOs, Darren Entwistle, the former CEO at TELUS, his people used to tell me that they hated when he went on vacation, because whenever Darren would come back, he came back with all these great ideas for the business and things they should be getting to be doing. And the interesting thing is, Darren told me that what he discovered was when he wandered, when he got away from the daily schedule and the agenda, that's when some of his best ideas emerged and happened to him. So here are 3 ways to wander more in your life and in your work. First, in your business, have meetings on a regular basis with no immediate agenda, no particular issue or concern. But the only rule in the meeting is that any idea, issue, or future possibility can come up. In other words, have a blue sky meeting at least once a month in your business. Second, take time to think every week without a plan. That is, as a leader and as an individual, have at least once a week where you take an hour and think about your life, think about your work, think about your business, but with no agenda ahead of time. You're simply going to see what comes up during that hour. Finally, if you're feeling like your mojo is low or you need energy, why not take a sabbatical? Why not take a week, a month, or maybe even several months, and every day simply ask, what do I feel like doing today? What is on my mind today? What is calling for me to take action on? I found in my writing this is often very valuable because whenever I've been stuck on what I want to write next, one of the things I do is I simply start writing every day without a plan of what I'm going to write about, and in the process of writing, I actually figure out what I want to write about. So here's a tip to wandering. Here's to the value of walking around with no definite destination or purpose. Not only does the research show you'll be more creative, but you might just find, as Joseph Campbell, that your mojo flowers when you get away from the agenda. I'm Dr. John Izzo, and I'm in the business of conversations that make the difference.